Hello, and welcome to another fun-filled week in Arizona. We've now been here for about a month while me and my buddy Kirk have been putting this bus together as fast as we possibly can. This week, we are finishing up all the bells and whistles. And we have to because the weather is about to turn up here and it's going to start getting really cold. We're outside of Shuttle, Arizona, and we're at about 8,000 feet elevation. So overnight, it's going to start getting really cold and we're going to have to get out of here. But I want to show you guys the shower stall that got put in this morning. Isn't that neat? All right, let's get this thing finished, y'all. We gotta go.
Meanwhile, me and my ukulele took a little walk down to the end of the road because I wanted to show you guys exactly what this place is. So Kirk has about 1.5 acres out here, and there are plots of all sizes, like this one out here, that people are using for off-grid living or just permanent camping spots. There's actually a ton of ex-nomads up here and people who are still doing the nomadic thing, but only during the winter and need a summer place to crash. It's really interesting how they're just making themselves a whole neighborhood up here, and they're popping up all over Arizona. Pretty, huh?
So one of the last processes in here is covering up wood. We're utilizing this barn wood stuff I showed last week. You can go back and check that out. It's a really cool product. We're covering all the plywood in it, so it's going to look like everything's made out of really heavy grade barn wood. But this is actually 2 of them back to back, as you can see there. So what they do is they take lumber and peel off the outside and sell it to people. And Kirk is progressively going through and covering all of these surfaces with that barn wood, so it's not gonna look like this after he gets done. I actually have outlets and switches in place. I'm gonna be flipping the main switches soon and start testing all of this. Now, as I build things, I test each individual circuit, but I don't test the whole system until right at the end because I don't like energizing the batteries in case something falls on top of them and causes arcing. All right, we'll see what he does while we see what I do to try to finish this thing as quickly as we can. Let's go, Kirk. Come on, get in here. Put this wood on this wall.
Yes, ma'am, sir.
That's not where the toilet's gonna stay, is it?
I mean, theoretically, it is removable. Did you see the shower? I showed them, but I haven't shown you. It's a nice shower. Crawl on in there.
Very nice.
Good morning, y'all. I'm starting my day out of breath. A little bit of a rainstorm and windstorm is coming in today, and neither me nor Kurt cleaned up last night. So we're out here trying to get everything rain and wind ready for the day because it's really going to get to blowing. Ooh, look, a rainbow. I bet Kelsey can see that from inside the Love Hut. But she's got that heater clicking away this morning. It's kind of cold, I'm not going to lie. That entire day of rain really brought in the winter vibes. For any of you that are just tuning in with this particular conversion of the shuttle bus, then I'm going to educate you. We're doing all this. So that is going to be the summer home, and this is the winter home. And winter is here, and it's time to move in. But unfortunately, we're still not done. We're almost done. almost done. Today, we got to get all this stuff out of here. Finish gussying things up, get the couch put together, get some seats in this thing. We got to go get tires put on it. But legitimately, it's getting cold, which is why we were doing all that laundry yesterday. Was I was down to no clothes. I had to wear shorts yesterday while I did laundry. We had waited a while. I'm grateful to have all that done, but it's time to get out of here because I don't want to keep dressing like this, and we don't have to. The low desert's only like 2 hours away. All right, I guess I got to start with my mess first, though. Yikes. Sorry, Kirk. I've spent a lot of time on this mountain working on these little tiny heaters. Unfortunately, it took me a lot longer to get it in that hole than I planned. Kirk has been building a console over the driving area. Obviously, we don't have the seats in yet because, well, this is easier without seats. But unfortunately, due to the fact we're leaving in a couple of days and trash service at the transfer station is only a couple days a week here, I have to take all the trash today. So I'm gonna leave Kirk here and I'm gonna go deal with this stuff. Well, I'm out here early today trying to do what is the equivalent to a punch list. And then just trying to get all the loose ends tied up. The goal is hopefully for Kirk to be able to utilize this as a home by tomorrow. So my first task is the plumbing. Now all of the plumbing meets right here. So this is the shower. We got a water heater, we got a sink. Back here is the tank, and one hose comes all the way, and then everything gets split up right here. So I've got to plumb everything as well as drill a drain here. And we'll have all of it plumbed at one time. And that way if there's any leaks, you also can see them, you know? You don't have plumbing hidden all over the place. All right, let's make this thing work.
Hello.
Come look, Kelsey.
We got
Very
wood,
nice.
We got light.
Let there be light. Ha ha! I've done it again, I say. I've created light in the middle of nowhere.
Good job, guys. This place is looking great.
You know, I'm inside the bus with all the windows and doors shut and all the lights on, and I'm really excited about it. But I can't help but, you know, think while I work. So I'm going to tell you about what I'm thinking about. And that is the fact that we're still here. It is November 15th, I think. We intended on being out of here by the beginning of the month because we knew winter was coming and it's going to come fast and out of nowhere. So we pushed and we skipped that date. And we are still plugging away at this thing. Now, combined, me and Kurt have probably constructed 50 automobiles in our lifetimes that one could call a home in varying degrees. And now, granted, he's done a lot more than I have, but that's still a lot for two people. And one would assume that we are able to tell you how fast it's going to go. And that would just be an absolute lie. There is, no matter how many times you practice, there's no way to predict how fast you're going to get stuff done. We have legitimately been working on this vehicle every day for that month. Now, some days a little harder than others, but every day, you know, and that is with us going as fast as we can, and that is with me knowing how to install these systems and knowing the parts and the fittings to grab at the store and making as few trips to the store as possible. So for any of you that's considering doing something like this, if you think you're going to do it in a month, you're wrong. If you think you're going to do it in 2 months, you're wrong. It takes a while. It takes a lot of love. And the more love you put into every little corner, every little art piece, the more intricate it is, the longer it takes. Something like that could potentially take you all day to build. And in your mind, it takes you 10 minutes because, you know, it's not but 5 pieces of wood. But my friends, everything is custom, which means everything doesn't belong where it's at. We had to make it, and we had to make every little bit and piece of it. You have to grind every little corner to make something lie flat. You have to put insulation and sealant. You have to make sure the weather is working outside so that the sealant seals inside. It is a lot of thought and logistics. And I just want to tell y'all, this is one of the cooler ones I've been part of. It's got all the bells and whistles for sure. All right, my day's about over. I've been waiting on it to get dark enough to try these switches. Now, what these switches do is we have spotlights that we put all around the bus several weeks ago, if y'all remember. So, oh yeah. That one's the back. And I'll show y'all, check this out. Oh, that's awesome. I'll bet it when it gets a little bit darker, it's even brighter. Boy, I love lights. So does Kirk. All right, I'm gonna go find my heater. It's cold.
Ugh, that is never a good way to start the morning.
Morning, y'all. I'm in the shower. It is quite chilly outside. Me and Kirk have the backup heater going while we finish up the smaller important bits inside. Right now I'm working on mounting this toilet. Now, I haven't installed one of these before, so I'm going to tell you all about it. This is a nature's head. Now, this is on the higher end of the spectrum.
It's an airhead.
An airhead, not a nature's head. My apologies. This is an airhead. And one of the two notable things about it is that hole out of the back, we're going to shove through this wall, and it's got this handy dandy electric sucker motor. And we're going to push the smell that resides in that toilet up this black tube to a vent that was mounted by the previous builders on the roof. So we're going to be utilizing that. It also has a secondary hose that connects here. And that is for the fluids that you dispose into it, because this thing is a 2-part system. So this is the black tank, and then the fluids run outside to a holding tank. So that's easier to dispose of as well. So it's a lot less work, and you can hold a lot more for a longer period. If you use an RV toilet that's a black tank style, those things fill up rather quickly. This theoretically can stretch you out a whole month as long as you can deal with the liquids. Let's get this thing installed. I'm ready to get out of here. I'm about to tuck my art piece away up into this cabinet, but I wanted to talk to you about what it was actually, because this is obviously not the recommended install. This is a Shane one-off creation. And the gray part here is actually a sewer drain. So this would be like in a floor drain if you were, say, in a restaurant, and back in the kitchen there's a drain where you push all the mop water. This is what it would be. And I just mounted this little exhaust fan to it, but it created a flange, and then I used PVC fittings to step down to meet our hose. There's always a solution. Sometimes you just got to think out of the box a little bit. This would involve me just standing in the plumbing aisle until I saw something. All right, so now that that's built, it'll get stuck up into this position here. Sorry, one-handed, not open. And then this that comes out of the back of the toilet will go up to it. Bada bing, bada boom. Well, me and Kirk have been hiding in here from the wind and rain all day long. This little heater has been doing work, as I would say. I did get the toilet mounted. Now, it just takes a bracket on each side with 2 screws that goes through the floor. And you have yourself a mounted toilet. I did have to run the hose through the wall here. We have our little vent tube. And that goes up, like I said, into the ceiling. I went ahead and put the shower faucet in. Now this is a little different than your average residential shower faucet. You are the mixing valve. So you just have hot and cold, and it's up to you to adjust it. And it's just one tube in between those 2 valves and it comes out. Versus in a residential, all that works together inside of this magical little hub, and you have a little valve inside that sometimes can go bad. Those won't fall on you. All the plumbing is consolidated into this one confined space. We've got a nice little faucet that we're going to be using as well. Unfortunately, me and Kirk have to head into town though, but we're out of propane. Propane is about 45 minutes from here and we have to go get it. We also have snow coming in the morning. I don't know how much snow it means when it says it's gonna snow in Shuttle, but we're gonna find out. And we're gonna snow, I guess. We'll see. I might not.
Oh no, guys. Not again. We really, really want to finish this bus. And I don't think that's even just rain.
No, there's snow in that. Big floppy plops of snow. Ugh.
It's not actually cold enough for it to stick, is it?
It's sticking to the Love Hut.
The vortex strikes again.
We'll leave eventually. We always do. There is nothing slower than a nomad trying to leave somewhere, Kelsey. You know this.
Snow, snow, go away. Ugh.
You know, one of the positive things about Arizona is eventually the water goes away. Now, I've been watching the news this morning, and apparently all down in the valley, so around Phoenix, and basically the area we all would have been headed to, they took on a lot of flooding. There's roads missing, people's rigs are stuck. They even got inches of hail that look like snow. I'm very grateful to be up here because there's no snow. Let's see if we can get this bus finished today. Well, there may not be any snow on the ground, but there sure is a lot of wind in the air. So I'm going to do my best to stay in here. Now, I don't have a whole lot of projects left to do because we're almost done with them all. Some of those projects do involve me crawling on the ground, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get to that today or not, but I'm definitely going to cut a hole in the floor because we're putting another diesel heater in. Now, there's one halfway installed hidden inside of that cabinet, and our plan was that was the one that came with the bus, and that was the install locality that the original builders of this conversion chose. And we were going to leave it there, and we just built around it. The problem is we can't really get in and out very easily, and the install locality puts it extremely close to the gasoline tank. And if anything were to go wrong with the little cheap exhaust tube that comes out of the bottom of this thing, you have heat that can be over 500 degrees coming out of this little tube. So I'm going to move it over here underneath the sink. It'll be a much safer locality. There is a fuel tank back there already installed on this bus, so I'll just run the fuel lines up here. But let's get a hole cut in this floor, because he's going to need heat in here if he's going to live up here. I've been talking about diesel heaters for weeks, and you know, they hit or miss up here at this elevation. But the newer technology in them, these little circuit boards and the control panels, they're starting to work a lot better at higher elevation per my experience. Right now, the only problem I'm having with ours is it literally gets too hot in the Love Hut for the thing to run. It cuts itself off when it gets to 100 degrees, apparently. And it is capable of taking that little yellow house to an internal temperature of 100 degrees. Now, let's talk about what this thing is, because I don't think I've ever cracked one open and shown y'all. So this is going to be the intake side. like so. This is going to be pulling air from inside this cavity here. And it spins this fan, and it sucks air in over this aluminum block, and then blows it out this side, and we'll have a duct that comes out, and that's the air that heats the space. It's a very dry heat. It can dry up your nose. You know, some people have to put out water. I personally like it, but now here is the dangerous bit. This side is your intake, so it pulls cold air in from outside, and this is your exhaust, and it blows out the exhaust. And all it does is this spinning fan replicates itself inside of this housing, and you have a glow plug, and you have a little port that the fuel comes in when the pump clicks, and all it does is that oil lands on that glow plug, and there's a chamber here, and it burns that oil inside of this chamber and makes this whole thing really hot, and that's how we heat our houses. It's not really flammable because it's diesel instead of gasoline. They do make a gasoline version, but I don't play with those. So what we have to do is we have to cut a hole all the way outside, so these two bits can be protruding underneath the bus, and we're not risking the potential of giving carbon monoxide into our living space, because that's what's going to be coming out of the exhaust is heat and carbon monoxide. That stuff will kill you. All right. So now I got me a big hole in here, and now I need to protect this hole from heat. So I'm going to use some HVAC tape, duct tape. This stuff is metallic. This isn't normal like duct tape. I'm going to cover all of this wood, and then this plate here gets attached to the bottom of the heater with these bolts, and you set the whole thing in like so. That way you can attach it with just these 4 screws, and if you have to take this thing out, that's all you got to do. All right, let's keep going. All right, got my little heater in place. Now, to do that was quite the task, because the original one, like I said, was over here, so was the wiring harness, which means I had to cut up the new wiring harness and extend it with heavier gauge wire so it still carries the current all the way back behind the couch, back behind the carpeting, underneath all this cabinetry, and then down and out to the fuel tank. But I think I've got it all set. But unfortunately, the sun's going down, and this southern boy is cold. I'm done. I can't feel my hands. I should have dressed warmer. Tomorrow, I'll be out with more layers. Until then, I think I'm going to go find our heater. Last night I got a little colder than any of us planned. I woke up at 5 a.m. and it was 27 degrees and our batteries were dead and the heat was off. It was an experience. The reason the batteries are dead is because we have just enough solar to get by on top of the Love Hut because it's full. And combined with the storms and the angle of the sun where we're at, we just didn't charge our batteries over the past couple of days. But we made it through. We persevere. I've adorned myself with several more layers, and I'm back at it again today. Now, I am about to permanently install this diesel heater, but first I wanted to wrap the exhaust. This is going to be passing relatively close to our gray water tank, not close enough to hurt it by any means, but I bought this tape when I was trying to make this install work, so I'm not going to put it to waste. Now, this is an automotive one, and it was quite long, so I was able to do a couple laps on it, which will really help with getting all the heat, not under the bus, but outside of the bus, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that as well. All right, let's stick this thing back in that hole. All right, it's almost time to test this heater, but first, I got to deal with the fuel tank, and I wanted to show y'all what the fuel tank was, because I found it quite ingenuitive. This is the gasoline tank for the bus. This is an aftermarket fill that was installed, and all they did was they cut a groove out through the subfloor like this one is, and then they mounted just a gasoline tank under here. And it's 1 gallon. So that holds the diesel for the heater that's right about there. And there's a fuel line that travels all the way to it, and the little fuel pump's back here. That fuel's been sitting there for at least a couple of years, so I've got to get it out and put some fresh in there so we could test this thing. Let's see how the siphon hose works.
Hey, is that heat?
It will be as soon as I clean out this sawdust and give it a test whirl, Kelsey. This one was a little creative, not gonna lie.
Very, very needed today. I'm running ours pretty strong. That'll do.
It'll do.
So, guys, I just came to check in on Shane and hang out for a minute, but it looks like I might be hanging out inside the bus for a while because that's a lot of hail coming down. I thought the storms were over. The vortex is never ending. We are very, very close to being done with this bus, though.
Very close.
Very close.
Very close.
You can tell by how bad the weather's been.
The battery on our truck is dead too, so it's a solid sign that it's time to go because we can't leave. Oh. Officially got my heater working, but I do believe that's about all I'm gonna get done. I do want to talk about something though, and that's the vortex. I know it sounds imaginary, I guess it kind of is, but every time we have ever been somewhere for longer than just a few days, something happens when it's time for us to leave that causes us to stay longer than we want to or planned on, but we usually stay just as long as we need to. So hopefully the battery being dead, the storm hitting us avoiding the storm in Phoenix, it taking longer to do this conversion, there's some rhyme, there's some reason as to why we're still here. But next week, hopefully we get out of here. Y'all check back to find out. In the meantime, why don't you check out some of our other social media like Facebook and Instagram. That's a great place to see some still shots of all this work instead of all my shaky movements. And it's a great way to actually get a hold of us. Like I said, we're in Arizona. If you need some help, let me know. You can also send me an email at LoveHut4Life@gmail.com. We'll see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.